Okay, I think, yeah, okay, I'm unmuted. Okay, so, hello, hi, my name is Preston, and this is my project for Mr. Tchaikovsky's class, Ethics of Wild Collecting and Preservation of Wildlife Reptiles. So, just before I go on, just disclaimer, I am recording this while I have COVID, so please bear with me. My voice is kind of wrecked right now. Yeah, just please bear with me. And also, all these photos are taken by me, um, unless I otherwise, state that it's not taken by me. But majority of these photos are taken by me. Okay. Okay, so background. Who am I? So my name is Preston Poole. I am interested in the study of animals, specifically reptiles. Why? So I've been interested in reptiles since I was a kid. They've always fascinated me. They've always been something that I've gravitated towards, probably because I watched a lot of Jeff Corwin, Steve Irwin, all of those shows growing up. I'm pretty sure you guys are aware of those guys. Um, as far as herping and herpetology, what is it? So herping is the study of reptiles and amphibians, and the act of actually going out and searching for reptiles and amphibians in the wild to observe them is called herping. So, think of herping like fishing. So people say they're going to go fishing, they're going to go catch some fish, maybe they do some catch and release. It's a lot like herping. Some people do fishing and they actually, catch and eat what they catch. Uh, we don't do that with herping. We don't catch and eat snakes. No, that's not what it's about. But similar idea. So this photo here is a picture of me taken by a friend, holding a rosy boa. So really nice snake, one of two boa species that we actually have in the state of California, one being the rosy boa that you see here, and another species called the rubber boa, which is found at higher elevations. Okay, so why is it important? It is important for the conservation of native fauna. Also, it is important for the documentation of species in environments. So this includes significant finds for reptiles not originally thought to exist in a particular area. So that is pretty significant because ranges for different snakes, lizards, turtles, amphibians can be documented and extended into different areas. It's also good for understanding the vulnerability and our impacts on the surrounding flora and fauna. Also for documentation of important environmental conditions, including weather and habitat that contribute to healthy reptile populations. Okay, so this photo is a picture of a Pacific gopher snake that I found in the Santa Ana Mountains in Orange County. Sorry. And it was a really decent hike. Didn't really have to hike too much, to be honest. More of a drive. Um, Very nice habitat. Very big snake. The photo is a little bit overexposed. I had to turn down the brightness. That was before I really knew what I was doing with my camera. So yeah, really, really pretty snake. Really calm. Wanted nothing to do with me. Just sat there. Okay, so next slide is about influential people. I thought this was pretty important to put in here because there are a lot of herpers and herpetologists in the community that have had a huge impact on all of the knowledge that we know today. The following, are just a couple of people within the community that have personally, uh, that I've resonated with personally, or have read their books. Just a few that I know about. And their combined experiences have contributed to a better understanding for and about reptile behaviors. Sorry, excuse me, I'm getting tripped up on my words. So first one is Jeff Lamb. So he is a zoo-based herpetologist from Southern California, and he is the author of Field Guide to Amphibians and Reptiles of the San Diego region. Next one is Brian Hubbs. He is a herpetologist who has dedicated a large part of his life studying king snakes and rattlesnakes throughout the United States. And next one would be Mike Pingleton. He's well known. He's a herpetologist and an author of a few books, including The Field Herping Guide, Finding Reptiles and Amphibians in the Wild. So this photo I took a couple months ago. All of these photos I took a couple months ago. The majority of them I took a couple months ago. This guy was in a drainage pipe. That's what you see here. And I actually saw him last minute. And thankfully I saw him and I didn't step on him because it was kind of dark. Got him to actually, I didn't have to do anything. He just sat there and I took a couple of shots of him using my flash and just let him be. He was just content, just chilling in this little drainage pipe. Very pretty snake. Okay. So discussions on vulnerable species. Brian Hubbs. So Brian Hubbs is the one of the individuals I previously mentioned in the previous slide. He is the author of Mountain Kings, a collective natural history of California, Sonora, Durango, and Querétaro mountain king snakes. I might have said that wrong. He focuses on California mountain king snakes and other montane species of king snakes. The book serves as a guide to understanding the natural history, seasonal behavior, habitats, phenotypic variations, how to find them, and also how to care for them in captivity. It's a really good book. Really good book. I really do recommend if you're interested in reptiles and amphibians and whatnot that you definitely try and get this book and read it because there's a lot of really good information in there. Years of experiences have gone into that book. So within the book, Hubbs encourages seeing these reptiles in the wild ethically. It's not unethical to seek these snakes it's not unethical to seek these snakes out in the wild, but it is unethical to destroy their habitat, which reduces their population density. They need that habitat in order to survive. You know, if they're vulnerable species, they're vulnerable to habitat destruction. Their habitat gets destroyed, they soon cease to exist. Hubbs highlights overzealous herpers who ravage habitats in search of species vulnerable to habitat damage. A lot of people who are just so interested in seeing these types of snakes, but so interested in a way that they completely disregard everything and everyone around them and end up doing more harm than good. That's what he goes over. This is just a screenshot of his book. So discussions on vulnerable species continued. So years of disregard for habitat and unsustainable collecting practices have left populations in many areas a shadow of what they used to be. The consequences of this are that California Department of Fish and Wildlife has issued regulations to protect this species in Southern California. So mountain king snakes, protected from collection, bag limit equal 0. So Southern California populations of mountain king snakes are protected. You can't collect them. You can't even really touch them, to be honest. You can get in trouble for doing so. As far as Northern California mountain king snakes, the back limit is equal to 1. So you can collect population or mountain king snakes from populations in northern portions of the state. So the Southern California species was most vulnerable as habitats are not as numerous, and there is more threat of development, and they were the most sought after types of mountain king snakes based off of their appearance. Areas in Southern California where mountain king snakes have a protected status are the Santa Monica Mountains, San Gabriel's, the San Bernardino Mountains, San Jacinto and Santa Rosa Mountains, the Santa Ana Mountains, and the mountains within the Cuyamaca Rancho State Park in San Diego counties. That would include like Mount Laguna and those mountains down there. So this photo is a little bit pixelated. I don't know what happened to my original photo. It kind of got corrupted on my computer, so I couldn't add it. So this is kind of like a picture of a picture. So yeah, this is a San Diego mountain king snake that I found in the Santa Ana Mountains in Orange County. And I felt super lucky because I just saw it crawling about, and it's such a beautiful snake. It almost looks like it doesn't even exist. It doesn't even belong. It looks like it doesn't even belong in the environment, just how bright it is. It's absolutely stunning snake. Completely harmless, beautiful snake. All right, so move on to the dilemmas. So one of the dilemmas is molesting animals in ways that can induce more stress than necessary. So this includes unethical and incorrect handling. This can be disastrous for some reptiles. It can also lead to the death of a reptile or even the death of a person if done incorrectly. If you're handling venomous reptiles and you don't have any experience, you could definitely hurt yourself or hurt people around you. So next is the disclosure of vulnerable habitats. So spot sharing can be detrimental in the long run because constant revisitation by hundreds of people can degrade the quality of the habitat. An example of this could be Silverado Canyon and the western pond turtle. According to The Biota of the Santa Ana Mountains by Willis E. Piconaut, the western pond turtle was commonly seen and collected in Black Star and Silverado Canyons in 1951. Now, the book was written in 1951, so they were relatively common back then. But to this day, I personally have traveled and traversed this region more than 30 times, more times than I can count. And I've invested more than 150 hours of my personal time and have yet to see one. It's pretty sad. Next would be seeking reptiles with the sole intent of keeping them as pets. So, reptiles that are scarce in habitat but common in captivity. With that said, there's no real reason to collect when you can source something ethically that has been captive bred. You don't need to collect something that you can reasonably get elsewhere and ethically. So, this photo is of a California legless lizard that I found one night in the Santa Ana Mountains. Pretty warm night. Sun just went down, and yes, this is actually a lizard. It looks like a snake. It has no legs, but it is a lizard. It is a lizard. Very small little guy. Really cool. Egoism. So egoism is visually present in the community and is easy to spot using social media. It's not everywhere, but it is present. You know, there are instances. Some herpers will put their self-interest in social media likes over the reptile's well-being before considering the implications of their actions. So this would mean taking photos of incorrect handling, taking photos of an animal that's visually distressed, etc., etc., etc. Some individuals take pride in being the first to find something in an area that isn't or hasn't been explored yet, I should say. So depending on the individual, one could be pushed or inclined to trespass on private property, which is bad. Don't do that. You know, there's there's been instances of that. Don't trespass unless you have permission to do so. So let's move on. This photo is of a lyre snake that I found in Orange County. They call it a lyre snake because there's actually what looks to be a like lyre on their head. Yeah. Okay, so walking a fine line. So the catch and keep of some species for conservation purposes is good. There's ethical and sustainable collection with permits from California Department of Fish and Wildlife. This can lead to genetic variety, preservation of bloodlines that are being lost due to development in prime habitats, and it can also help in repopulation programs to help out populations in the wild. Now, catch and keep for the sake of saying you have something that no one else has and providing suboptimal husbandry, that's bad. This ties back to the idea of egoism. You're just putting your self-interests in the front seat while the interests of the reptile are being completely disregarded. All right. So in conclusion, what can we take away from this? Explore. It is encouraged to get out and explore the natural world around you. I encourage it. Uh, better you get a better sense of the bigger picture. You can get off of your accounting job and go take a hike and smell some flowers, but do so ethically. Apply ethical practices when it comes to hiking, fishing, herping, etc. You don't litter, don't destroy the habitats of the animals that need them to survive. If you see an uncommon species, don't freely disclose the location to average people. You don't know their intent. Someone could be asking and prodding to try and find a location of, let's say, a mountain king snake found in an area that that wasn't originally thought to be found in, and they go there and they end up taking it. However, if someone with scientific credentials asks, you should feel comfortable disclosing the information that you have because they're going to use it for the sake of research and documentation. There's no real reason to really fear there. So that's the end of my presentation. This is a photo of a red diamondback rattlesnake found in Riverside, California, and also another protected species in the state of California. Yeah, almost reached behind the rock in which it was sitting behind, which would have been really bad for me, but I saw it before I did. Always look behind rocks, guys. That is key. So thank you for watching my presentation. I hope you have a great day, and bye.